everybody, and welcome to a new Quick Review Thursday. I'm your old pal, Moo Cow, a.k.a. Paulie Presenza, and I'm joined by...
Jonathan A. Moody, your co-host.
How's it going?
It's going good.
And today we are going to talk about a movie called Anarchy.
Anarchy!
So there you go. That's a Matt Anderson film.
It's actually a Amanda Megan film.
That's Amanda Megan film.
Yeah. Well, Matt and Amanda did write it together and produce it. So...
And I've been familiar with them with regards to, like, your sort of standard horror kinds of films. So this is not like that. This is completely different. And so when I remember they had some kind of a sale. I remember they did a thing on Facebook when they were talking about some of the different movies. And I went on there and I was checking out the movies. And I saw this and I thought, wow, this looks interesting. And first of all, Abigail Hendricks is on there and she's gorgeous. So that immediately caught my eye. And then, of course, Jesse Green, whom I've known from a bunch of different movies, was there.
Also, we've known personally. We meet, he used to go to Scares Like here all the time with us and stuff. So we meet up and hang out with him and his crew,
And so then I checked out and I saw the back and then talked about it. It says, Anna is a woman with no structure in her life. She crashes from one event to another with no regard for anyone. Just kind of, I know people like that, or I know someone like that. And so I thought it would be very interesting. And so I picked it up, and sure enough, it was a very interesting flick. Very much a character study. And I thought it was very interesting. So... you got to see it.
It was my first time seeing it, even though I bought it from Matt a little while ago. But I've just been so busy, and the only times I get to watch movies are if I review them. So Paul and I were at the studio today doing something else, and we were like, we had just us two. So he was like, let's do a quick review Thursday. And I said, all right. And he was like, we should do Anarchy because we both know the people involved. Amanda has been on the podcast with us a few times. Will constantly be, she's a big part of our crew too for the Indie Film Cafe. So we love her. Jesse's been on 31 Days of Indie Horror. I got to get him on more we got to get him on Indie Film Cafe at some point. Matt L. Anderson has been on the podcast now. He's been a big part of it too. So we love these guys, and I wanted to check it out, and I'm very glad I did because it was I didn't know what to expect considering it was not horror, and it was
refreshing. I'm kind of glad that they do that because I think a lot of indie film people, horror is an easy way to sort of get into it. It's sort of cheap and it's sort of the stuff that's been done over and over and over. This is very different.
You have to find the right people for the right roles and stuff.
This feels more like a passion project. I would love to get Amanda Megan on and talk to her about why she chose to do this story and why she chose to do this character. I don't know whether it's because she knows somebody like that or what the deal is, but it definitely felt something more than just let's just make a horror movie to...
Well, yeah. So it's like, let's make a drama and comedy.
And it felt more personal.
Yeah.
And I liked it. It's got a very interesting arc as far as what happens with the character.
We won't go into too many spoilers because it is out. Like, people can check it out on Tubi, I think. So
yeah, it's on Tubi. Thing is, this movie does not work unless you've got the right lead. And they really hit a home run with Abigail Hendricks. She really put herself out into this film.
We saw her audition. She was great.
Yeah. She really, really makes the film gel. She has obviously she's super pretty, but you got to have more than that. A, she's got to have the acting skills to be able to pull this off, and B, she's got to have enough charisma to sell you that this character is worth caring about. And she manages to do that, even though clearly high maintenance, clearly damaged, clearly has a lot of serious problems, and yet at the same time, you can't help but root for her, and you want her to advance herself in her life, and you want her friends, she's having sex with all of them, to finally be able to help her come to terms where she can advance herself in her life.
Yeah, like her character, as you said before, like when we were watching, is a free spirit. And,
very much a free spirit.
And I agree. She I mean, she's very, like, this is going to sound very wrong for me to say this, but she feels like a Gemini. I know many Geminis who are very, you just don't know. 1 second they might be all down to doing stuff. Next second they're gone and everything, and you can't, or whatever. They don't show up, or they don't, and just flighty but a lot of that I think has to do with the trauma she had with losing her parents and stuff like that. And she never fully grieved it.
And
so
there's a lot in this story that really stuck with me because of my relationship that I had with someone that I got really, really super involved with early on in life, where she always described our relationship as she was the kite and I was the rock, and that I was the rock holding her down, because if it weren't for that, she'd fly off into the universe and God knows what was going to happen. And that's similar to what's going on with Anna and Danny here, is that, he kind of grounds her into a reality in a way that she really, really needs, because otherwise she's just going to spin off and God knows what she's going to end up doing. So it's really, really interesting. You don't see a lot of movies that kind of talk about that, especially when you get into things like open relationships and people being honest with each other and kind of all the drama that goes with that. But I thought it was done very, very well. It certainly kept my interest. And I have to say, too, that the other friend was Jocelyn. She was really, really good,
yeah, she
too.
was fantastic.
Really, really good. Well done, well acted. There were a few things. I think some of the editing choices were a bit much for me. And personally, I don't like a lot of music covering over dialogue. To me, that bothers me. I know that's kind of a thing with your generation. You guys like that. I don't so much.
I don't think it's generation. I think it's just
it's
whoever's
like a
the
Dawson's
editor.
Creek thing.
Well, I mean, I don't mind I don't, especially if you're at a club or a bar or something. There's going to be music there, or whatever. So, it's understandable. I don't like it covering up the dialogue sometimes, just because, especially if we need to hear something and then we hear the music over it and we have to try to figure out what they said. But it didn't. None of it bothered me because I thought it seemed normal to me. It was good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some of the editing choices, just some of the I'm not MTV flashy kind of kind of guy when I edit anyway. I'm lazy, I guess, or whatever, but I also, that's what I like. I like lazy editing because it's just, I don't like too much flashy stuff. But for that kind of project, if that's what they were going with, some of the scenes they did a really good job with the flat,
Yeah, and I
the
thought
flashy editing.
some of it was done as a way to sort of show us her fractured point of view, which I totally get. I don't know that we needed to see that all the time, but I get it.
I don't know. I like that.
That's just a minor sort of pick. Otherwise, for a relationship film like this and a character study, I thought it was really good, and very, very surprised at how well this turned out.
Well, and I'm so used to Jesse as the pirate character, Captain Mango.
He was a lead.
And yeah, he's usually just a supporting character. So to see him as a lead, first I was a little thrown off. I was like, wait, Jesse? Oh my goodness, good for you, Jesse. But then I was like, oh man, he was perfect for this movie. Cause,
pulling in all the chicks and woohoo, go Jesse. You're giving people like me hope.
Yeah. Which is nice. It was nice to see. There's a lot of older guys that were getting much younger women, and I was like, that's not usual in any of these kind of movies. So it's kind of cool to see.
But given that area and those kinds of characters, it seemed to fit. It seemed to make sense.
And they weren't young girls. These weren't 20-something-year-olds. These are 30-something-year-old girls who were with 50-something-year-old guys or something, or whatever. So it wasn't too young, or anything. It wasn't weird.
Yeah, but it definitely had that small town feel where everybody's kind of getting involved with everybody else.
And everybody knows everybody's business, and everybody knows everybody, period, except It was weird that she didn't know who Danny was, considering everybody else seemed to know who Danny was, except for like a couple of the people.
And it was a little weird that Jocelyn didn't seem to know that Anna, who's been having sex with everybody, literally, somehow wasn't having sex with her boyfriend. That
Was Barney Buttfuck?
Barney Buttfuck.
Yeah,
You got to know Barney Buttfuck was on the list along with everybody else. But again, these are just minor little points.
Well,
overall, it was interesting and it was fun, and I really, really, really got stuck on the character, and I kept as much of all the problems and issues and pain and everything. I just wanted her to I wanted things to work out for her.
Honestly, I kind of felt like this would have been a perfect like pilot episode to like kind of showcase a TV series. Like I'd watch an Anna Key TV series where she's going around and you're just kind of still seeing what's it like. However, it does sort of wrap everything up. So I mean, you don't need anything more. But...
and it might be a little easy for her. As a matter of fact, I think I personally would like to have seen a bit more of a struggle with her because she is so cracked. She is so damaged. You would think it would take a little bit more than just the trip and her realization that she would have to fight her way back. But that's okay. The movie has to wrap up, and I understand that. So that's also not a big deal for me. But, if you were to do this as an extended series, you could extend that out and, she could go on more of a redemptive arc, sort of fighting her way back to find herself. But for this film, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
So,
and I loved, so we talked about it too beforehand, that, what is it, Jesse's character, it was just so nice to see like a nice guy, that isn't treated like, oh man, he's a bad dude, because like, his character's so laid back. Like he's okay with her being herself, and he's like okay with being in an open relationship. And I was telling Paul, I know a girl who has an open relationship with her, or had I'm sure she still has it with her boyfriend now, but like her former boyfriend. And I asked her, is like he okay with all this? And she was like, I just tell him who I'm sleeping with, and he tells me who he's sleeping with. And if we don't like it at some point, we say no, don't do that. And then the other one doesn't do that. And I was like, that's the most healthy relationship. And that seemed what Jesse was telling her, like, oh yeah, I'm not sleeping with anyone, but I don't mind if you sleep with other people, because that's your, that's
part of you.
That's who you are.
And I accept that. Yeah.
I freaking love that. And it was hard for her because she's so used to guys saying, you can't sleep with this person, you can't do this, you can't be who you are. And she can never be with somebody like that. Now, Jocelyn's character Marty, I was surprised that she didn't get with like that. I hate to say it, I was kind of thinking that that's where there was gonna go, because spoiler alert, I guess.
Everybody was sleeping with everybody.
I thought she was gonna just by the end of it be dating Marty, but I think it all worked out perfectly the way it was supposed to, the way that it was sort of meant to. Everybody had their like sort of redemptive arcs and scenes together that were great, and everybody became a part of like anybody
this
who gets
sort of unconventional family that they sort of create amongst each other.
Yeah, I mean, that was the interesting thing. Is like you kind of if you become friends with Anna, you're kind of like, and all of a sudden in this world of other people, and everything like that.
And I know, like I said, I've been swept up in a hurricane like that. I know what it's like to fall for someone who is pretty much a force of nature, and you just don't know what direction they're going to blow, and you just kind of hang on and hope that stuff works out.
Right.
It's tough to do that long term, because, and that's the only other thing is that, Jesse's character, while I understand him accepting of her doing certain things, there are certain things that I did not like, and he does put his foot down when it comes to when she was going to go driving drunk.
Yeah.
So he does step in, and I was glad to see that when it came to a point where she was going to be self-destructive.
Right.
So
And
a lot of this, the drugs and drinking, you have to get
which she
past
didn't like
that.
because she wanted him to like protect her, and he kept telling her, you can protect yourself, man. Like, you know how to. I'm not gonna step in and do that, and I love that. Like,
And finally, she figures out, because Jesse helps her figure it out, plus the trip to you guys, that all of that self-destructive behavior all stems from this whole unresolved issue that she had with the passing of her parents, that she has to get past, and she has to be able to forgive herself for having this happen and surviving it. There's a lot about closure and a lot about forgiveness that she has to understand before she can become a more self-actualized person and be able to love everybody else the way that they deserve it. So yeah, there's a lot going on in this story, and it's a very ambitious story. I was pleased that that they went in this direction. It's like a breath of fresh air, considering a lot of the movies, like I said, that most indie filmmakers do. They generally don't go in this direction. They don't take on a story like this, and it's great to see an original story like that. So kudos. I really enjoyed it.
it did go to a lot of festivals. I'm not sure which ones it actually won. It just says it's got a lot of laurels, so it did very well there.
I would love to talk to Amanda about how she decided to make this story and where it came from. I'd love to talk with Abigail Hendricks. I'd love to hear about how she prepared herself, how she chose to do this, how much of that character is within her. I don't know. I guess you were saying that she's not really. I guess she went off to L.A. to do whatever she's going to do. I don't know. But if
I don't know much about her, but
could ever get her on the show, I would love to talk to her about it. She definitely has a lot of talent. They definitely hit a home run with the cast.
Jordan Miller did a great job with the camera work. I thought it was pretty top notch. I don't think there was anything I could complain about, really. I mean, at all. I mean, no. I think everything was pretty good.
Other than some of the little nitpicky things, some of the little minor choices, I would say that this was a very good film. So it's out there, right? I mean, you can go to their website. Do they have a website?
It says on here it's was a key13films.com/Anna-Key, but I don't know. If you look up Anna-Key, I'm sure you can find it.
And it's on Tubi, you said?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, definitely check it out on Tubi. But if you get the chance, pick up a copy. Buy it. Make sure
buy
that
it
the
on
artist...
Blu-ray.
Yeah, buy it on Blu-ray. Make sure the artist gets paid. That's kind of what we really try to do.
Definitely.
So... Yeah, very, very cool. Thanks, guys, for making that film. It was very, very cool. I enjoyed that.
All right. I'm not sure if we'll be back next, in a couple weeks, or if we'll be back next month. So we're taking things year, by year, but we'll be back.
We're kind of like Anna Key. You never know what's going to happen next.
No, I really. we're kind of like her. I don't want to be much like her, because I love her to death, but
yeah, she's a difficult character to love, but you can't help it.
And you should get it, because they do have, interestingly enough, you can get the audition tapes, and her audition tape.
She was really good.
Wow,
yeah, she hit a home run.
I can see why they cast her, because she and Jesse did have a little bit of like this chemistry going, where they worked well together. So. So check it out. Check out their film and let us know what you guys think. Until then, everybody, bye.
Bye. And it's short review Saturday.
Yeah, quick review.
Quick review Saturday.
Thursday.
Quick review Thursday. All right. An extra cow in there would have been nice.